France is a private corporation that was registered in France in 1754 by Benjamin Franklin. It's a corporation that was promised the enumerated powers to operate at the Maghreb, or what is known as Morocco, the most far west, under European colonial operations. It is a corporation that belongs to the Jesuit order. And what they've been doing is miseducating our people with the help of a lot of conversos. Do you know what conversos are? How many of you know what conversos are? Raise your hand. So see, because when you raise your hand,
Sean,
let me know,
bear with
so I don't
me.
get on the subject matter that you already know about.
Bumpy road in the beginning.
Waste your time talking
getting
about
this
things
live
that's not
stream
going to be
set
any
up.
good. But if I see only half the people raise their hand, in order for other things to make sense for you, you have to have some fundamental knowledge about what's going on. All right, conversos is a name that the Europeans gave to people of Asiatic Moorish descent who converted under Constantine to what they're calling Christianity. Are we clear? Conversos are the main targets that the Europeans always
I know it's
use
moving
as
a lot for you guys, but
or what you call
trying to
training
set
as their
this live up.
overseers for people who are held to servitude, which means those are the ones that the Europeans will pick as an overseer or as a troop to murder their own people. Conversos would be like persons who call themselves Negro, black, or colored, and they go to Vietnam and other places around the world murdering women and children for the European under the name of God and country, because they're not Christians. Those are called conversos by the Europeans. Translation in blunt, they're traitors to the Asiatic nation. And keep in mind, the Europeans never won a war without conversos. Conversos have always been the keys to the Europeans winning wars, whether it's the First World War, Second World War, Vietnam, Cambodia, Brazil, Argentina, Nicaragua, etc. All of those wars that the Europeans have been starting around the world, none of them they won without the help of conversos. That is one of the major reasons why other nations of the earth do not like black people. And black is really a tag. It's not an identity. Keep that in mind. Black is a tag that's given to conversos. Black, Negro, people of color. So when you're traveling the world, when you do a little bit differently because they recognize you as a converso, even if you didn't know that that's how they're looking at you. So when they're kind of standoff a little bit, meaning they'll do business with you, outside of that, they don't want nothing to do with you. You know, because we make everybody wealthy because we give up our birthright. But as soon as you come with that black code crap, they already know that you're a converso and cannot be trusted. This is why most of the time when people from North America travel the world, these Asiatics call themselves black, they'll send them on like tours and stuff like that, but for the most part, they don't put them in positions to mix with the people. Sometimes they get an opportunity to do that, but generally they do not. But anyway, I know you all are familiar with honoring your mothers and your fathers. Are we clear? Right, is everybody clear with that? Meaning that most people recognize that, right? In the Septuaginta, which they converted into the Bible, Septuaginta, Latin, and Hebrew. Are you familiar with, say, Isaiah 64, 65, where it says, the Creator or God says, "You have robbed me of a whole nation of people." And they respond, they say, "How say thee, God, that we have robbed you even of a whole nation of people?" And he says, "Yes, you have robbed me of a whole nation of people and put your name on them as a curse. But I will slay thee and call them by another name." Are you all familiar with that verse? Are you familiar with this verse? It's in round 65. Isaiah 65 in that area. It says, "I hold my hand out all the day long to a hard-hearted and rebellious people who were not called by my name. When they repent from their sinful ways, I will hear from heaven and heal their land." You familiar with that? Yes. All right. Another phrase that you see in Septuaginta, when it says, "The time has come that every man, every woman, give me 1 second. Hold on. Testing. You'll hear this. It says, the time has come that every man, every woman, and every child must confess their own and worship under their own vine and fig tree. All of those phrases in the Septuaginta in the Bible is directed to what you would call in the political realm, nationalization. Any person that does not honor their mothers and fathers are called stateless persons. As an example, if a Manchurian, or what you call Tianyi, what you call Chinese, call themselves light-skinned yellow guys, they would have lost their birthright too. Are we clear? Is that hard to understand? No. Is that hard to understand? If anybody from Asia, Africa, call themselves light-skinned, dark-skinned, they're talking about skin complexion, they lose their birthright. Because the pedigree and their inheritance is in their national names. Nationality comes from what is called nativity, which means to be born. Your belly button, navel, that's your mother. That's your birthmark. That is your birthmark, not the strawberry on your arm or the hair coming out your nose. It's that's your proof of your origin. Any gods that you claim, the first gate that you come through is the womb of your mother. That's your only proof that you cannot lie about. You can lie about daddy, you can't lie about mama. That's the truth. And nativity comes from that. Inheritance comes from that. Heritage comes from that. And your nationality ties you to that inheritance. Without your nationality, you have no inheritance nor estate. That's why the Europeans put their family names on persons who they conquered. Are we clear? Clear. Persons who they conquered, who they put their names on, Smith, Jones, and Johnson, Negro, black, and colored, are stateless persons. Are we clear? In law, those of you, how many of you got law books? Raise your hands. Those who don't have it, fix that immediately. Save yourself and your family. Fix it immediately. Cannot be emphasized enough. Now keep in mind, since we have so many people in here that clearly don't have a background, I'm going to give you a quick background into the history. How many of you are smartphones now that you can just pull up on your smartphone? Pull up Barack H. Obama and the Moorish flag, and I'm going to give you a little bit of history. How many of you saw Barack H. Obama or heard him on the Time Journal show a few years ago when they asked him, how does it feel to be the first black president? What did Obama say in response to that question? Black has no standing at law. He says, I'm not black. Black has no standing at law. Do you know how many people that went over their head and he was telling you or sending signals to you? Now, you look on your smartphone, Barack H. Obama and the Moorish flag, and bring the picture up real big. You'll see Michelle and Barack, and you'll see the true American flag to the right, which is the Moorish flag. So he's telling you your history. Are we clear? Clear. And understand he's Kenyan. A black man can't be president because a black man is a Christian slave. And don't confuse Christian order with Jesus. Has nothing to do, there's no relationship whatsoever. Are we clear? So if anybody's confused about that, do some research on the Nicene Council and Constantine and his mother. And understand that these people who think they know Jesus and go into the church, with all due respect to the church, they're worshiping Constantine and his mother. They ain't got nothing to do with the Nazarene, Emmanuel, Yeshua, who they named Jesus when they altered the record in 325 after they murdered him, having nothing to do with him. So you look also, for those who want to do some more research, go look at the book of Ruth, which usually be your 39th book, Ruth the Moabitess. And Moabite is the ancient name for Moors. These are people with hair like lamb's wool, skin like burnished brass that are burnt in an oven, etc. Like the book says, not that pale one that they put up in the churches telling people that that's Jesus. There's no J in Hebrew. That's a password. His name is Yahushua. Ruth was his grandmother. She was Moabite and so was he. The modern name for Moabites is Moors. You're the same bloodline of the one that you call Jesus, and you betrayed him and betrayed your damn selves. That's why you're in trouble right now, under these Christian black codes that most of these people never even read. Never even read. The Europeans don't even hide it. He documents it all over the place. And these people will turn around and tell you about Jesus, God, Allah, Moses, Muhammad, all of the Bible, the Quran, Uwaspi, the four Vedas, Septuaginta 1 and 2, etc. The Nicene Council will tell you about all this and don't even know their bloodline. Therefore, as far as the world's concerned, such persons are called dead in law, civil liter mortuus. So black people in law are considered dead in law, which is really what's been happening to our people. Are we clear? Not physically dead, but dead in law. Let me give you another key so you'll be clear on this. As an example, how many of you have a short history about Fidel Castro? Bay of Pigs, U.S. corporation operations under the British Crown, pretending to be a country, invading Cuba, which is Isabella. Castro nationalized Cuba. Told them Europeans, go home, take your shirt, your back, your frog feet, however you balloon, you know, party's over, split. How many are familiar with Adolf Hitler? There were some people claiming to be somebody they're not, that was controlling Germany's economy, that were actually undermining the economy, and they were negating the economic system of Germany, actually raping it. So Adolf Hitler nationalized Germany, said Germany for Germany. Party's over, you ain't got to go home to your mom. In other words, get off my mother's breast. Forget the ugly part they tell you. Let's talk about what the truth is. In civilization on the planet Earth, when a nation is in trouble, the rule is to get all non-citizens or non-mother's children. In other words, you got children? So your children on a national scale, see, because in divine law and in nature's law, nation is really a matriarchy, not a patriarchy. Are we clear? Clear. Forget what they tell you. We're talking about how nature works. All right? See, we your sons. We got these buttons. Them suckers don't work. Ain't fed nobody. They just remind us who we came from. Are we clear? Clear. This is just the truth. In other words, until we start dealing with truth, we're not fixing anything. Now, we're in political trouble. We're in economic trouble. Our families are being destroyed. And if we don't do anything to check this, don't worry, because most of the children won't live to be 25 if it's up to these Europeans. And all you need to do is study the destruction among our young males, the way they don't know how to treat women, they don't have a work ethic, they're trying to survive. Their parents left them nothing. They just got a church on every other corner that they support Reverend Jones. He living good, and he really working for the popes of Rome, which I'll show you the clergy's oath. They don't even hide that in the congressional records. Write this down, secret treaty of Rome. That's where the clergy's real oath is. They delivering these people to the Pope of Rome, telling these people that they're delivering them to Jesus. Everybody knows it, but the dummies who keep paying the bills. And you wonder why your neighborhoods are falling apart, while they're being gentrified, while your birth certificates and marriage certificates that you thought were divine instruments are really bank bonds, and they're claiming the eggs in your womb with the birth certificate, no, with the marriage certificate, and they can come in the house anytime they want to, kick the door and take the children because they belong to the state which serves Rome under the Roman Curia. Everybody knows that but us. Nationalization is to stop those processes. Are we clear? Clear. That's the lawful, the divine, and civil check to stop that. That's why you nationalize. However, everybody don't want to be free. So I don't expect people who have no honor to honor their mothers and fathers. You don't beg conversos to honor their mothers and fathers. Because remember, the major reason why a lot of this BS has been going on in our communities forever is because most of your leaders are operatives. That's a fact. They're operatives. Sister Cheryl, give Sister Mike.
My question is, if they're in your neighborhood and they're knocking your door down.
Say it again?
If the operatives are in your neighborhood knocking your door down, what do? You have a flag outside, you put a sign on the door, say I'm a Moor? How do one know if you're a Moor or not?
Let's get away from that naive stuff. The Europeans already know that you're Moors.
Okay.
How many of y'all got Masons or Eastern Stars in your families? How many of you know that 99% of these reverends are 32 and 33 degree Masons, even though they don't admit it? Of course, that pulpit. How many of you ever heard of Ku Klux Klan? How many of you ever heard of Knights Templars? How many of you ever heard of Shriners? How many of you heard of White Camellia? How many of you heard of Daughters of the American Revolution? They got a beautiful building down here in Washington, D.C. Marble steps, marble and everything. In all of their rituals, they got a Moorish fez. A Moorish fez that they dress in jewels, and their lodges are all named Moorish names, and all of their lodges are called mothers. And whether they're Europeans or Asiatics, if you were part of them orders, they'd be having rings, sapphire rings with Allah on it. The so-called founding fathers, Jefferson and all of them had Korans. The only people who don't know they're Moors is these people that think human beings are crayons, who are really the direct descendants, who are out of order, and wonder why they keep catching hell. And you can't tell them anything, because they know God, Jesus, they know everything about every daggone thing but their bloodline. Don't know politics, don't know what economics is, don't know what real money is. They don't know that the United States is a private corporation belonging to the Jesuits. They think it's a country. They don't know that America is a continent. They think America is a country. And the world is moving on around us. Are we clear?
Clear.
That's what nationalization is. Are we clear? Bringing people from that political dead state into a state of life. That just begins, that sets the foundation, doesn't fix it. They have to study. They have to become what they know. Are we clear? You have to become honorable to the truth. And you must start undermining or rejecting, or sometimes that they call Septuaginta, rendering unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Caesar is not just Julius. Caesar represents the Roman rulers under the Roman Curia who have been conquering the world, pretending to be white people, which is a legal status, has nothing to do with complexion. Are we clear? That's dealing with the Whiggle-Moore party. That's why you need to know history, because our people who can't read think that white is an identity of Europeans. It is not. It's a legal status that they took from you when they put you in servitude. They traded places with you. You're a white man, they're a black man. Black is a Middle English word from 1100 to 1500 derived from Old High German, which means pale colors. Has nothing to do with skin, melanin, Hotep, carbon of the universe, and none of this stuff. Our people can't daggone read. Now keep in mind, all the leaders know this stuff. That's why other Asiatics and other people don't take so-called black leaders serious, because they already know they're operatives. Why? Because they pay them. Are we clear? They're 501c3 controlled. Mike again.
Okay, so if there became a time when the Europeans come down my street, knock on everybody's door.
They're doing it now. They've been doing it.
So what do? I have a flag outside? They already know they're going to skip my house, or?
You know what it's sort of like, Sister Cheryl? It's sort of like the spirit of who you are, what you know. It's sort of like if, as an example, if you can sing or play a saxophone, and you're always trying to prove that you can play a saxophone and no one takes you serious, just be who you are. It should be coming out your pores. It should be as natural as a Chinese not trying to prove he's Chinese because somebody called him a yellow guy. No, now, A civilized person knows that when you give them a brand that you're stealing their birthright. An uncivilized person don't know different because they're called boys and girls because they can't read, you know what I mean? So if you call them black, oh, that's beautiful Afrocentricity because they don't know better. But a civilized person knows that steals their birthright. Now the baby girls here, they're young, so they don't know. But any of you in old heads like myself, and maybe yourself, and some of you others, you already know 5 generations ago, if you called our people black, you had a fight. Now they think it's spiritual African identity because their Negro leaders told them that. That steals your birthright. That steals your birthright. That's why they branded. That's what the brands are for. We're talking the legal operation of branding. When you transact business outside of your pedigree, in law, you have no right of estate. This is why the Europeans created the brand system anyway. Then he put his name on the people, so whatever they buy or sell with the mark or the number of his name is state property. That's not hard for anybody to understand. You tell our people that, they start telling you about Jesus. And their families are falling apart. The youth are dying on the street, younger and younger. Women struggling trying to raise children because half the men are fags and the others in jail or on the corner, totally uncivilized and don't even know their pedigree. Now somebody got to start putting some check to this. Belief ain't going to do it. You're going to do this. You're going to fix this with knowledge or not at all. Because nature does not respect person or station. We can sit up and talk all day about what we believe. Real world, you don't have no knowledge, get ready to disappear. It's called, how do you say, when anything in nature is in violation of its purpose of being, what is the ultimate outcome? Extinction. Whether somebody's attacking you or whether nature solves that problem. That's how things work. Now the sooner, it is rough, you know, truth is rough. But unless we start dealing with the truth, we're not going to solve any problems and things are going to get worse and worse and worse. Are we clear? Let me give you a key. Now, you know Delilah, right? You know Sister Delilah. Troy knows. As an example. Now, Sister Delilah, recently, I think it was in this past month, she had to go to the private tribunals, you know, that the people ignorantly call courts. They're not courts. Now, they've been running her through this, like, for the last couple years. Yeah. Now, they had on the claim, state of Pennsylvania versus Delilah Posse Hill, right? That's what they had on paper, right? So when they called her up, and they said state of Pennsylvania versus Delilah Posse Hill. So she said to the magistrate, who claimed to be a judge, she says, "Oh, will you testify? Are you the state of Pennsylvania?" He said, no. Prosecutor, are you the state of Pennsylvania? No. Is the state of Pennsylvania standing in this room because I maintain my right to enforce that Constitution and question my accuser? Just threw it out. It's the spirit in which you operate. Because when you know, you just be. But if you get in this energy of always trying to prove something, that means that you doubt yourself. And whenever they see that you doubt your own pedigree, they look at you like a wolf looks at a bleeding rabbit running across the field. You're food. Because remember, the whole operations of Europeans in the Western Hemisphere and on the planet is the Inquisition hegemony. Write that down. Inquisition hegemony. People who don't know real history and real law will call it weakly because they lack information. They'll call it white supremacy. Anybody in any secret society and anybody in politics who know what's really up knows Inquisition hegemony. And it is no different than your choices of words and statements when you're conversing with the Europeans. What you choose to say will tell him whether or not you're under his mind control or not. If you start talking about skin color and racism, he already know you're under mind control. Are clear? You start talking birthright, international law, constitution, and treaty enforcement, then he responds to you differently.
Islam.
If you mix those two things, he'll declare you incompetent. Now, and so that is really my response to you of how you want to start looking at things. Are we clear? Are we clear?
Yes.
So, it is not you or me, when I you is us plural, flying your flag. You should do it because all nationals fly their colors. You know, that's just a statement. There's no, you don't need to prove anything. They already know who you are. That's why I told you, pull up your phone. How many of you found Obama's flag? Obama with the Moor's flag. You got that? Barack Obama with the Moor's flag. You got that, sis? So you pull it up. Now, spread it on your screen. Now, is that hidden?
No.
Is that hidden?
No.
Is that hidden? Ain't that flag right here? Is that right there, the same one I have?
Islam.
He's the president of the United States Service Corporation. So, he's telling the people. So if you're telling the people, and the president of the corporation is telling the people, and they don't get it then that means they're worthy of the sacrifice. Isn't that correct?
Correct.
That means if you're told the truth, and you still go back to them black codes, that's a choice, isn't it? Involuntary servitude is unlawful, is that right?
That's right.
But if they want to be black under the black codes, they have a right to do that too, don't they?
Yeah.
And they have a right to kiss that rope when that man puts it on their neck. They don't have no right to make a complaint because they choose to be stateless persons. It's sort of like a lot of people criticizing Kanye West for telling the truth. These people choose to be slaves. But they don't know because the leaders ain't teaching them international law. They don't know it's a consent thing. They think it's just an attitude that someone has toward them. It's a status. It's a status. Dred Scott case, most important slave case ever come before the Supreme Court of the United States. What was the issue? Was the issue the argument? No, it was not. Was the issue of points of law? The Missouri Territory where slavery had been abolished? That wasn't the point. What was the point? He claimed to be Dred Scott. That was the point. If a Chinese come talking about he's Joe Belaski, he loses birthright. Ain't no, because it's not a Chinese pedigree name. You cannot transact a business in another man's name no matter how many generations and claim an estate. It will not happen. And so these Negroites need to get over their egos. You know, I'm serious. Get over their egos, you know, and stop trying to be Europeans and then claim rights at the same time. They do not go together. They don't go together in law. It's not just an opinion. It doesn't go together in law. That's why you nationalize. Are we clear?
Clear.
Because it gives you standing in law to have right to make a claim of right on your estate or any inheritance that come down from your mothers and your fathers. Are we clear? The failure of our people to do that is why all over this country, and I know it's happened to all of us and all of our families, you can trace back where whole long acres and acres of land have been taken from your family. That should be, none of y'all should be poor now. There's probably not one of you, if you do a little bit of lightweight research, not even deep research, will find acres and acres of land that's been taken from you generation before you or coupled back even up to recent years that you didn't get. And you know why they got it? Because your grandmom and them claims to be Smith, Jones, and Johnson. They're state property. And that's the truth. And so we need to get over ourselves, get over our egos, correct the status. If you don't clean the status up, everything else is dead. I want to point this out to you because a lot of people need to be aware of this, just in case. Now, Ali referred to me that many of you want to understand why you nationalize. It is no different than claiming a right of estate. All inheritances come down through your mother. All human genetics of the entire human family is traced through the female, not through the male. They'll tell you this stuff because the popes of Rome are ruling, and so they run this thing with a patriarchy, but in real life, it's a matriarchy. Are we clear?
There you go.
Now, you can be in violation of nature all you want to, but in the real world, nature don't respect what your beliefs are. Your beliefs don't have a damn thing to do with nothing real. Like when you breathe in air, we go out and it starts raining, it don't say, oh, I'm Baptist, so I don't need an umbrella. No, I'm just, and this is how we be operating. See, I know the Lord, see, because I don't need it. No, you want to get wet. You know what I mean? And we need to get real. In real life, you don't honor your mother, you ain't got no estate. You go out here transacting business in Smith, Jones, and Johnson, it belongs to the corporate state that belongs to the Jesuit order on Fleet Street through the Queen of England under the secret treaty of Verona. Your state property, so is your baby's. So let's get over ourselves, all right? Let's get over ourselves. Let's start studying. Let's start reading again and acting like we got some daggone sense. And stop thinking we're going to fix things with belief. Belief don't fix nothing. What it does is fix and prove that you bipolar. That's all it does. No, really it does. Because our people, for generations, been claiming beliefs that they cannot prove, that come from the Romans, and all you got now to show for it is broken families, no more hotels, no more restaurants that you own yourself. IRS takes all your stuff. It takes everything that comes down from your grandmama and everybody else, and we sit around lying to our youth talking about salvation. And all they see is drugs, jail, suffering, and death. We're full of it, and people need to call us on it. With our fake selves pretending we're spiritual, while our families are falling apart, while we won't render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and then we want to keep on marching all over the place like fools, making fools of ourselves, hoping that the world changes. It ain't going to change until we change. We need to honor our mothers and fathers like other civilized people and claim our lost estate. You got to know that you got one, though. But anyway, let's go through this real quick. Pass the mic around. I would rather since the issue is heritage, start off with the mic. Get Sister Mike. And when you get tired, you know, you can pass around whatever, because and particularly with the young sisters, because it's more important for y'all to get it. Because when y'all get it, that'll save the next generation. When y'all get this in your head, remember, because we got all this going on, we don't fix nothing. We just build stuff. When it really boils down, when women really gets this stuff without the BS, without us feeling threatened with each other, without us competing, this bullshit will be over overnight. The only reason why we screwed now, because you've been delivering us and your children to these churches forever, thinking that you was delivering these people to Jesus. They messed us all up. The sons, we don't know left from right. No, it's true. We lost family 5 generations ago. And these people ain't never read the Christian Black Codes, don't even know that these preachers are spies. And that's a fact. I'm going to read also Article 3 of the Secret Treaty of Verona after we do this. So remind me if I forget that. All right, sis, go ahead.
The Crown Temple, by rule
Yeah,
of
stay in the mic so everybody can hear you, because, yeah.
By rule of mystery, Babylon, the Templars of the Crown in operations. There are 2 crowns that come to mind when the natural people of the land take into consideration their forced peonage suffered under the intersocial affairs invoked by colonialism. The most poignant issues involve the social, economic, and political problems that have and do now plague and hinder the human family in these days. Many of the torts, wars, and and social, economic, and political abuses and suppressions of note are presently the norm among Aboriginal peoples suffering the negative and injurious effects of European colonialization in the Western Hemisphere and across the planet. One of the crowns of concern has been the Queen of England and the arbitrary practices related to the popes of Rome, the Inquisition, and the Unum Sanctum.
Unum Sanctum, get used to that.
Unum Sanctum.
Everybody, how many of you familiar with Unum Sanctum? Raise your hand. Look around the room. If you're not familiar with it, you don't know the source of your political, economic death, land loss, misery, and broken families problems, because that's where their origin is. So if you don't know the politics or what's happening to you, how much skill do you have to counter what's been happening to you if you don't know what's going on? Because that's actually what they're using. Are we clear? That's the #1 church bulla they've been using to screw you and your families. Continue.
Church bulla, policy enforcement, etc. The other crown less discussed is the Crown Temple and its past and present membership and operations. Truth needs no apology. The feudal law, governmental, and judicial systems operating within the jurisdiction of the United States of America, which are artificial persons, abstracts, and private corporate entities functioning at
Now, you need to know what artificial person abstracts are. How many people know what that is? Look around the room, because you want to pull each other's coattails. Because that's the 14th Amendment person that they created after they closed the Freedmen's Bureau, where they gave their private corporations the designation of persons with the purpose of converting the estates of defeated Moors, branded Negro, black, and colored, into the private estates of Europeans, and thereby claiming your estate, calling you a corpse, i.e. the 14th Amendment corporate person. That's what these abstracts are. They're constructs on paper and nom de guerre, which include the brands that they called you. Are we clear? All right, so get familiar with these legal terms, because that's what operates every day. Continue, sister.
which are artificial persons, abstracts, and private corporation entities functioning at both the federal and at the local state levels. These corporate, say that for me, enslavers.
What's an enslavers? See, I don't want you to go past things that you don't understand, because it's not going to do you any good if you don't know what you're reading. What's an enslavers? This is where politicians get together and make corporations, private corporate entities, where they can transfer by succession, corporate succession, stuff that they steal from people under corporate succession. So ens legis is the corporate construct, whether it's 14th Amendment person, Negro, black, colored, nom de guerre, all of them are ens legis. Means ens legis, they're done by legal, written process, but not by truth or divine law. Are we clear?
Black law.
Meaning it's legislated.
Black law.
Yes, go ahead, brother.
Ens legis, a creature of law, an artificial being, as contrasted with a natural person, applied to corporations, considered as deriving their existence entirely from law. Ens legis, Black's Law, 5th edition.
Exactly. So when they call you Negro, black, and colored, that's an ens legis. You agree to be that. That means they have jurisdiction because they created that on paper. It doesn't exist in nature. Doesn't come from the womb of woman. Has nothing divine about it whatsoever. Therefore, they can claim all estates, can't they? All they got to do is get some nigger leader to convince you to be Negro, black, and colored. He gets his 501c3 kickback, and you're state property, thinking that you saved because Reverend Jones said so. You don't know he's working for the popes of Rome. That's what an ens legis is. And it happens in our community every day, and everybody and their dog knows it except people who think human beings are crayons, and you can't tell them nothing else. Continue.
Having British Crown colony origins are now owned by the Crown, which is a private and foreign power. Before jumping to conclusions about the Queen of England or about the royal families of Britain owning the USA corporate entity, know that this is a different crown and this order is fully exposed and explained below. We are specifically referencing the established Templar Church, known for centuries by the world as the Crown. From this point on, we will also refer to the Crown as the Crown Temple or the Crown Templar, and that when one hears about or references any of these forms, it's known that that all three are synonymous.
Now, Donald Trump is a Knights Templar. How many have you heard in recent statements that Trump said that he is the president for the Republic? How many of you heard him say that? He said that lately. That's a signal. So that means there's a declared civil war going on with these Europeans.
That's right.
Now, a person who can't read or don't know government structure, that go right over their heads. Now, so that means Trump. That means that Obama was the last president for the United States. So Trump is doing negotiations for the T-bonds that the countries are dumping. That means the United States Service Corporation Company and the fakery about it being a country is over. What they're doing in the background is negotiations. What you do as a people is vital, particularly now, if ever, right now. Whatever we get together, because they're going to do two things. We're either going to come out of this or they're going to wipe us out. Like they did some other people that kept claiming to be somebody that they're not during the Second World War, and they took them to barbecue parties. They thought they was going to work. No, we're talking the real politics. We're talking extermination. Executive Order 11490. So you got to look at things and kind of read between the lines. You know, so where these people are looking at this one way, if you can read, you can see things, and people who can't read, that will go right over their heads. Continue. Oh, yeah, apologize. Excuse me.
A Templar is a member of the Niceno
Constantinopolitan Creed.
Constantinopolitan Creed, religious and military order that is also called Knight Templars, Knights of the Temple, and Poor Soldiers of the Temple. The order was founded around...
Stop right there. How many people know the Niceno-Constantinopolitan Creed? Raise your hand. Look around the room, y'all. How many people go to churches that's right down the street here, down the corner there, down the corner there, in every 4 blocks in any poor neighborhood that are called Christian churches? That's the official name of what they're really being taught. Niceno-Constantinopolitan Creed, they're worshiping Constantine, and the preachers are hiding behind the name of Jesus. That's why those communities are totally destitute, poor, corrupted, and gentrified. Now, that's the fact. How many people have been going through them churches for generations and don't even know that's the official name of what they've been calling Christianity? And the fact that most of you aren't familiar with it indicates what? A lack of information, extreme ignorance, and naivety. Again, information is also part of nationalization, meaning that being told the truth of what things really are, not what you thought they are. Because your mind will not change until you told the truth of how things really work. You know, like people keep saying that they love Jesus and everything and rendering unto Caesar what is Caesar's until they're told the truth. Then most of them run. Continue.
The order was founded around 1118 and organized on the land at Jerusalem, an ancient city at the Canaan. Canaan is also known as the Palestine, and the area of Jerusalem of Palestine has, since 1948, been politically designed as a part of the contemporary
Politically designated.
has a
Politically designated.
politically designated as a part of the contemporary body politic and political state now called Israel.
Now, pay attention to that. Now, notice how they changed the maps in order to justify false history and false identity. They did the same thing with you. Are we clear? With the Negro, black, and colored. What is called Israel is really the land of Canaan. Are we clear?
Right.
Are we clear?
Yeah.
All right. So them same people that claim to be Jews, John 8:44, in the Bible, in Septuaginta, when Yeshua says, when they say, oh, yeah, we're the sons of Abraham. And Jesus said, if you were Abraham's seed, you would do the works of Abraham, but you seek to kill me, a man who has told you the truth. He said, you of your father the devil, and the lust of your father he will do. He's a murderer from the beginning and abides not in the truth. And when he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own kind.
Islam.
Are we clear?
Clear. Yeah.
So it ain't like it ain't in that book, is it? These people keep saying they know that book. These people don't know that book. They just parroting and suffering the consequences. Because they're of Canaanite, Moabite blood too. They just forgot their own bloodline. They've been following after Rome, using Roman names, claiming Constantine, hiding behind the name Jesus, and suffering the consequences, and don't understand why the world don't like black people. They're traitors. They're conversos. And the Europeans been living off your birthright. That's what this politics is all about. It's that simple, not complicated. They already know who you are. You're the one that clearly don't know who you are. And the reason I ask questions and tell you to raise your hands because I want you to see your own self. I'm not trying to prove anything to you. I want you to see you lack information. And once you do some research, you'll not only find this to be true, you're going to find more stuff that's going to really piss you off. When you recognize that these guys run around in these robes, been lying to you knowingly and getting paid off to do it. Anyway. Continue, sis. And when you feel like it, interject. You know, if you don't understand something, because this is very important. See, because if you have a question and you interject, or someone interjects, that solves an issue with someone who don't have the courage to speak up. Because a lot of people don't have the courage to ask questions when they know damn well they didn't know what was just said.
Islam.
You know what I mean? But go ahead, sis.
The Temple Church. First, we will note and take account of little historical background. The Temple Church was built by the Knights Templar in two parts, the round and the chancel. The round church was consecrated in 1185 and was modeled after the circular church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is located in Jerusalem. The chancel was built in 1240. The Temple Church serves both the inner and middle temples, see below, and is located between Fleet Street and Victoria and Embankment at the Thames River. It grounds also House of the Crown offices at Crown Office Road. This Temple Church is outside any canonical jurisdiction. The master of the Temple Church is appointed and takes his place by sealed non-public patent, without induction or institution.
Now, interjection. Now do you understand why whenever the Pope goes to any so-called Western nation or European nation, why they fund everything, his security and everything, because he owns them? Are we clear? And these Asiatics who keep thinking that they're citizens of these European corporate phonies who keep pretending to be Americans, they're not Americans. And when you call them American, you give up their birthright. When you call them white man, you just call them sovereign. And then when they exercise that power, then you want to get mad and march all over the place, which is a contradiction. If you call somebody God and they act like it, Don't get pissed. No, it's really, you need to learn how to read. You need to learn the real politics. Give the sister a mic for a minute. Yeah. Because we want you on.
Well,
Yeah.
I just wanted to.
Yeah, we want you, because we want to be hear what you're saying.
I just wanted to know if a copy of the presentation would be available.
Get in the mic.
Is a copy of the presentation available?
It's on
Or
Facebook
can you
Live.
email it to us? Okay.
It's on Facebook Live.
That's what I.
Yeah. Oh, you Secret Treaty of Verona? Or the Constitutional Order? Or the Crown? You talking soft. Get back in the, get rid of the mic.
Taj, she was actually would the copy of the presentation be available.
What you have presented now.
I just said it's
What
on
you're
Facebook.
presenting.
Oh, this?
Yes.
This is the Crown Templar.
No, I was asking, would a copy of the presentation be available for handout?
Oh, that's on a flash drive. As a matter of fact, stuff on a flash drive will keep you busy for 20 years. So that's most of your life. You know, yes, that and this is on that flash drive, including the Secret Treaty of Verona, including the House Joint Resolution 192, including the post letter to Obama, etc. More than enough keep you busy like forever. You know, so you can do some cross research, etc. All right. All right. You tired of working yet? Don't hesitate to ask questions, because remember, some people that don't ask questions, stuff gets past them. Because it's very important for you to really comprehend why we're doing what we're doing, why we're telling you these things. Because even as you see this going on, those of you who know the politics already see Secret Treaty of Verona and the real politics, because this is what really is an operation. Right now, this is the politics. What our people want to believe, I didn't say what's real, what they want to believe doesn't change this reality. And the energies that we've been spending, wasting our time, spinning our wheels on a social treadmill, frustrating ourselves, arguing issues that are of no worth, because this is really what's going on. And as soon as we face reality, the sooner we'll stop wasting our time. It doesn't guarantee immediate success. It means you'll stop wasting your time pouring water in a bucket with 5 holes in it. So whatever you put in, at least you'll contain it. Meaning that you'll get out of this what you put in it. But we got to stop lying to ourselves. Go ahead.
Flash drive, how can I get that?
Actually, I usually carry them, but if you got a clean, new flash drive, I'll transfer it to you.
Appreciate it.
Yes. Yes. And it'd be enough to keep you busy for 20 years. And even then, you won't be done. Probably keep you busy for another 25, really, to be honest with you. Go ahead, sis. Sorry for the interruption with the technical skills and abilities. Go ahead and do your thing. All right. Now, pay attention to this, you all.
Attorneys. All
Say it very clearly, because this is very important. Everybody get this through your heads. Get this through your heads. Go ahead, sis.
attorneys. All licensed bar attorneys are really attorneys who are doing business and operating at North America and under the United States jurisdiction. These attorneys owe their allegiance to and give their solemn oaths and pledges to the Crown Temple. Their fidelity to the Crown is the established fact and stands as the binding rule whether the bar members admit it or not, or whether realizing this oath bound obligatory fact or not. This fundamental truth is simply due to the fact that all bar associations throughout the world are signatories and franchises to the International Bar Association, which is located at the Inns of Court at Crown Temple. The Crown Temple itself is physically located in Chancery Lane behind Fleet Street in London, England. Although the bar members may vehemently deny it, not wanting the public to know, All bar associations in the United States, such as the American Bar Association, the Florida Bar, or the California Bar Association as examples, have direct ties. These, without exception, as with all the other bar associations, are franchises to the Crown.
So what is a franchise? It would, all right, like say if you, headquarters of Walmart is placed in one area. All of the rest of the Walmarts will be franchises, are we clear? Your main headquarters. Sears, Kmart, whatever. The franchise would be any of those marked subordinate businesses with that tag. Regardless of what they say, the policy is locked. Are we clear? Are we clear?
Yes.
This is why our people need to really understand the real politics, because they keep thinking, because they talk to different people, some people admit things and some people don't, they think that these people don't know. They all are members of the Roman Curia, and they will carry out unum sanctum policy no matter how they approach it, whether they approach it with a smile or whether they approach you hostile. Either way, they're carrying out unum sanctum. Are we clear? Clear. So the sooner you get this through your head, the sooner you'll stop wasting your time doing Negro marches and praying for things that ain't gonna damn happen, and changing your whole agenda of everything you do. Are we clear? They're not gonna change it for you. You must change it. Go ahead, good brother.
Islam. I also want to add, attorneys is not just limited to the bar association. It's also your the landlords, it's the wardens, it's the school teachers.
Exactly.
It's everybody operating on the land. They are all attorneys, turning back over our state in the unum sanctum, under the unum sanctum hegemony taking place.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, for those of you who know, how many of you have registered certificates in the Library of Congress with CMA's work? All right. When you see in the Zodiac Constitution where it says when you hire an attorney, you give him your birthright, that's exactly what that means. Now, keep in mind, all politicians know this, all your so-called black leaders know this, all your reverends know this, all your civic organizations know this, all councilmen know this, all mayors, everybody knows this but the dummies who keep paying the bills. That's why you're being exposed to this information. Until you know what those who've been screwing you know, you have no power. Are we clear? Knowledge is power. What you do with it is on you. But what you can't say is that you weren't told, because you're being told. Now what you do with this information, that's your choice. Whosoever will, let them hear. Whosoever will, let them come. You deal with it, but you're not going to be able to say when they start destroying your families openly that you weren't told. Because if you in them black codes, you're cooked. Because that's what they intend to do, get rid of them first. Although they intend to attack everybody. They intend to get rid of Negro whites first. Continue. Thank you very much.
Now consider this. Do you recall and recognize why professors, teachers, and politicians at North America obfuscate with convenient omissions and continue to avoid teaching about or discussing publicly the absence of the original Article 13 being the nobility clause and being a prime substance of the Constitution for the United States of America? Does it not become obvious as to why the original nobility clause forbade and disallowed members of the Bar Association, attorneys, lawyers, and esquires to hold any public office of the trust in the United States? The de jure Republic United States of America, which is the legitimate constitutional political body, politic order of government, must be distinguished from the illegitimate and de facto United States, U.S. United States Incorporated, and their feudal law democracy platforms post 1861. These
All
imposters.
right, slow down. Everybody familiar with the coup d'etat of 1861? Raise your hand. Look around the room. I want you, every time I tell you raise your hand, look around the room so you can inform each other. Now, from a political perspective, if you were in assembly now to vote on things concerning humanity, whether economics or political, would you be declared a competent political body with their hands that was raised up now? You would be dismissed as totally incompetent.
Right.
I want you to recognize that. I want you to recognize why we're emphasizing these things, because you need to be competent, particularly all of us. And the only ones who would be excused would actually be little children, not even the teenagers would be excused in law. I'm saying this to you because I need for you to recognize our political weakness. Are we clear? And for those of you who want to understand again why you nationalized, even this information is part of nationalization. Because without it, you will not solve your political and economic problems. Are we clear? Marching and praying is not going to do it. With all due respect, get over yourselves. You're going to have to get some knowledge. We're sharing information with you because it's important for these things to be clear with you, not vague. Don't accept what I'm saying. Consider me a liar. Challenge what I've said to you. Do research. But we've given you enough information whereas you can do the research yourself. Are we clear? Are we clear? Then you become strong. And back to Sister Cheryl. When these fundamentals are understood, and like say if you're dealing with Europeans, like you say, coming to your door, they'll do that under military operations for short term to create havoc and fear. But they will not do that on long term. Are we clear? And they will choose people who they know pretty much, or they will assume, do not know their obligations. Are we clear? Now, so when you see the Pope saying to Obama to get the franchisees in order with the motu proprio in 2013, and of course his letter directly to Obama in 2014, what he's telling them is get the house in order. Now the problem of it is we're not in order because no one's talking to us directly. Are we clear?
Clear.
Now, so this is where our responsibility has been, though neglected, on our part. Because they already know what their obligations are. What they recognize is that these people are extremely ignorant. However, they are the economic base. So it's not in their political interest to emphasize it. So when we assume, and I'm only saying that to say, let us never get in this idea that we have to prove anything to them. They already know. You got to prove it to yourself and your family members who don't know they're getting ready to get cooked. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And when it's sort of like, when they know that you know and you're clear, they look for easier food.
That's right.
If you don't have to go through this big spiel. Soon as you open your mouth, because remember, all of your so-called community leaders, all of your mayors, all of your council people, all politicians, and even the gangs of New York who call themselves policemen. If you all ever look in the policemen's windows, you'll see their little fraternity badge, and you see our star, right? You'll see the star, 5 points, and down just like an Eastern Star. And then they'll have the 3 crowns, or 3 little castle, that's 3 degrees of masonry. And you see the grip, then you see the eye of Allah. So they already got 3 degrees. But their missionary work is to destabilize our communities. Are we clear? People keep forgetting they're the gangs of New York under contract for the United States Service Corporation that Lincoln bankrupted. They're not law officers. They're organized criminals. Doesn't mean that every individual policeman is dishonorable or a bad person, That's what their order is. And our people's naivety on what they think things really are is where our problem is. We need to shed the naivety that plagues our people. Are we clear? Go ahead, good brother.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a testament to what he's saying, and just from my own experience. For example, I don't pay taxes right now. I'm a kickboxing instructor, and my owner at my company, he is a 25-year military veteran. He was a pilot and a major in the Marines, and of course, you know, when I come through my paperwork, you know, I don't pay taxes. He has this question. I said, "Am I square?" Long story short, we had like a conversation about it. He made sure that it went through, and he respects me for, you know, who I am, my nationality, which is an acknowledgement that delivers and conveys the state along with that. He doesn't challenge me. He introduces me as I'm Moroccan before anybody, and as well as, you know, upholds it with my wife. He doesn't even around me. He doesn't even identify himself as a white person. He'll identify himself by his nationality, Scottish, Irish, all that other stuff. And another situation was during the Freddie Gray uprising. A couple of my friends went out to like the whole thing that was going on in Baltimore, and I brought out a flag, Moor's flag, with me. And general with the standing army, he stepped outside of the actual formation, and he shook my hand and saluted me in recognition of the actual flag. So, so what he's saying, it's not really about, it's a separation and the distinction between their conscience and their customs. They operate off of customs, but they're honorable to a certain degree. Like, not everybody, not all of them, but yeah, some of them at the same time.
All right, go ahead.
These imposter political entities were formed after the rebelling Congress of the United States adjourned sine die.
Sine die.
Sine die.
That's called sine die. What does sine die mean, you all? What sine die mean? Remember, this is the real politics, you understand? Keep in mind, every time I ask a question, consider that you're being filmed, shown before the United Nations and the world, and remember, most of you being adults, are being represented to youth around this country. Imagine that you're on film, and the children are looking at your response to these questions. And remember, they're looking for you to guide them, and they're wondering why our communities are screwed up. And we keep telling them to get an education when we're not even educated. These are basics that you're being shown here. I want you to recognize that this is basic civics. It's just that our people haven't been involved in civics. They've been dealing with belief systems, and the rest of the world been dealing with civics, so therefore they've been moving in your communities, making a living off of you while we sit around talking about beliefs. So they're selling you somebody else's hair, somebody else's soap powder, somebody else's eyelashes, somebody else's braids, and somebody else's diapers, and we're sitting around talking about beliefs. And they know this. This is what gives everybody a foot up on you. Are we clear? When they come to this country, because they're not naive. It don't mean they don't have problems like we have. They do. But they ain't got the nigger problems. They don't come under the Christian black codes. We're the only ones come under the Christian black codes. And we're the only ones that's constantly in hell. And it ain't a place to go. It's a condition of life. Are we clear? Go ahead, sis.
Sine die and secretly established the unconstitutional corporate platforms that thereafter facilitated their private kingship, oligarchy, the commercial human trafficking, democracy, order, and their pilfering color of authority, misprison operations, these more contemporary political activities, and the colorable legislation associated with them, ties back to the crown, directives
in the background. Go ahead.
You got a question?
Go ahead.
Can you expand on human trafficking?
Human trafficking is what's been happening to our people that they have been trained to call racism. As an example, Traffic court, right? Now you're young. However, you already know how they profile what they call people of color, particularly these Asiatics who are direct descendants, and also Moors, or who you call Puerto Ricans. They fill the courts, traffic courts. Is that not true in the different townships that you all live in?
True.
Aren't the majority of them are people?
True, yeah.
That's human trafficking. Point. What part of the Constitution for the United States set up traffic court?
None.
I noticed that you looked over there, you paused and you're thinking. I smell smoke. No, I smell smoke. You think you're thinking wrong.
I didn't know. I just heard him say it first, but not.
But you should know. All right, so it's basic civic, right? So basic civics and constitutional civics should be taught, usually starts around 3rd grade. But we need to recognize how weak we are in fundamental information. And if it's not rooted by now, we're already in trouble. Are we clear? Now, traffic means trade, right? So when people go to traffic court, they're just telling you there's trading court with humans, but they know these people can't read. Stare decisis. Do you know what stare decisis is? Stare decisis is Supreme Court law, established law, founded, meaning that it stands all over in any court or any venue that's called a court. It is not disputable or being able, anyone claiming to be a magistrate or judge or lawyer cannot dispute stare decisis. That means established law. Are we clear? All right. Now, the right of travel for the humans is irrevocable a right, not a privilege, cannot be converted into a crime. Haven't they done exactly that? All right, so that's human trafficking, isn't it? How much finance do they rob our communities every day with tickets and fines? And they know that it's unconstitutional, but they know our people can't read, and they know the black leaders are paid off with the 501c3 skull and bones agreement, and ain't going to tell them. Got them marching all over the place. What we need to do is protest and tell them about Negro jobs, and we be thinking that they're working on your favor. They're working for Rome. That's human trafficking. Right in your face. Go ahead, good brother.
I'm on etymology online, and we're looking up traffic, the verb, from 1540. To buy and sell, from traffic. To preserve the original commercial sense related to traffic or trafficking. Traffic is to buy or sell.
Now, ens legis, the nom de guerre, right? Ens legis, the nom de guerre, traffic. Slavery has been institutionalized,
That's right.
and the people have been living under it and don't even know it.
Islam.
It's in your face. Now, how many people got law books? They think traffic is a stop sign. You're going through the red light because that's you're going against the traffic and shit.
To buy or sell.
Human trafficking. You know, it's very important that this is clear to you. You see? Because number one, your age, you're immediately a target. Because they're going to try to do the best they can to make sure you can't take care. If you see this little sister here and you start falling in love and everything, you're going to check with mom and say, boy, that girl got them dresses and stuff, we're checking her out stuff. And she checking and you know, they're going to do the best they can to make sure that you can never take care of her. That's what traffic court is for. To break your families. It's right in your face. So if you can't move around freely, can you take care of your family? How many poor people's homes have been broken because these criminal gangs of New York, pretending to be lawmen, have stole their vehicles right off the street without due process? Right from under them. In violation of constitutional law. And they don't even know it's a violation of constitutional law because they never read the Constitution. And they think these people are lawmen. They're actually criminals. Because they got blue suits on. They're contractors. They're private contractors. Gangs of, go look up gangs of New York. So the deal of it is, if you grow up not knowing these things, you don't prepare your children, do you? So now you talk to the mother, you're trying to hook up with her daughter and everything, and you plan on taking care of her, and next week they just target you because they want your car. Now you can't take care of your family's broke. Then what, 2 months, then she's out the house and everything, and you starting from scratch trying to fix things. You can't do a job because you can't go no daggone where. Then you catch a bus, you late, you fired from the next job. That's how it works. It's an act of war. And these people don't even recognize it because they can't damn read. Human trafficking. Continue, sis. Oh, go ahead. We're going to share it. Go ahead, share the word, girl.
I can go a little bit. Thank you. The four ends of court. The ends of court, see below, the four ends of court, to the Crown Temple use the banking and judicial system of the City of London, and is a separate jurisdiction platform. It is a sovereign and independent territory which is not a part of Great Britain. That political fact is just like Washington City, the District of Columbia.
That's this area right here. Continue.
The District of Columbia was called in 1800s as a political body which is not a part of the North American states. Nor is the District of Columbia a state within the organic United States Republic. The District of Columbia and its political platform was established to extort from, to defraud, to coerce, and to manipulate the American people. Its operations are dedicatedly feudal in character. These fleet street bankers and lawyers are committing crimes in America under the guise of sovereign authority and under a color of law. See definitions for legal and lawful below. The bankers and lawyers are known collectively as the Crown. The Crown's operative...
Now, hold it. How many people know that the bankers and lawyers together are known as the Crown? How many people know that? Sister Cheryl, this is again because, you know, you always keep us on our toes. These are consciousness, these are levels of consciousness that when you're in a legal process or legal controversy, if your language harmonizes with this is what shuts them down. If you start talking to racism to harass you because they know you don't know, because they're feeders, they're parasites. And see, they feed on you long as your garb is open. Are we clear? Symbolic. You know how like when they took Yeshua and was lynching Yeshua, and then they tried to rip his garment to share it with each other and they couldn't rip it? What that symbolizes that they can't get in unless you let them in. They have no jurisdiction unless you give it to them. Therefore, you must understand what jurisdiction is so that you can recognize it when they're claiming it, whether it's in personam, subject matter, or territorial. So as soon as you call the European American, you just gave him territorial jurisdiction. If you call him white man, you gave him subject matter jurisdiction. And then if the name that you're using belongs to any of the Europeans, Smith, Jones, and Johnson, Whoopi Goldberg thing, he has jurisdiction. So if you understand these things, you understand what the power of nationality is. You're declaring the diversity that they undermined before when they took your birthright. In other words, you go back to the state of mind of your ancient mothers and fathers. Or like it says in the book of Malachi, go back. Go back to your mothers and fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. See, so the deal of this, the European got you in a false jurisdiction. All they need is to get you to agree to it.
Under the color of law.
Because colored people and color of law and color of authority, aren't they harmonics?
Yeah.
Don't they? Go ahead, good brother.
I'm in Black's Law, 5th edition. Thank you, Rael. Color of law. The appearance or semblance without the substance of legal right. Misuse of power possessed by virtue of state law and made possible only because wrongdoer is clothed with authority of state, and action taken under color of law, as used in civil rights. Acts means same thing, state action, and then it gives a case law.
So isn't this back to how D won that case? The state versus?
Yes.
So what did she do? Use the law to show. She didn't argue that they're in color.
Right.
She talked to them because they are in color.
That's right.
So if the magistrate continued, what the magistrate would be doing would be freeing a lot of people in that audience.
That's right.
So rather than freeing these niggers who don't know nigger means monkey,
right?
They think it means Afrocentricity,
right?
You understand?
Right.
He let this one. You get out right now.
That's right.
While you're ahead.
That's right.
And that's how you beat them. You beat them with your language. When your knowledge changes, your language changes. When you open your mouth, you will demonstrate to whomever what your degrees are. And again, this cannot be emphasized enough, which is why we tell people, please study and understand these things that we're presenting to you has a purpose of liberating you. But you must be it. You don't repeat it because you hear us saying it. We're unimportant. It is important for you to comprehend what this is, because in the real world, this is the real politics. You don't have this knowledge. When you go before them, they see steak.
That's right.
They just look for hot sauce. Really. And they, Europeans like things rare. He was saying, why are they looking at me like that? They don't like a brother. No, he's looking at a piece of steak. But it's just...
The Crown's operatives and members in pretext and guise are acting as lawyers, while their members are actually Templar bar attorneys, and are not lawyers. Attorneys and attorneys are derivatives of attorn, a verb from Old French, of attorney, meaning to transfer, to appoint.
That large capital like that's giving you etymology. It means Old French.
Okay, all right. Old French. All right, and 2 plus turn in law, to turn over to another, transfer. A turn also means to transfer homage to a new feudal lord.
So when you hire an attorney or a lawyer, what you really just hired is a well-dressed bounty hunter, and you paid them to deliver you and turn you over to the magistrate under feudal law. This is why 90% of the cases our people lose. And they be paying the bounty hunter thinking he's going to protect your rights. And he's a deliverer.
Yes.
Turning you over. So therefore, if you don't know the law, guess what? Get the fork and see if it's done.
That's it.
Go ahead.
A turn also means to transfer homage to a new feudal lord, to acknowledge the relation of a tenant to a new landlord. The other crown. Crown essentially refers to the sovereign power.
Excuse me, I apologize. Yes.
Crown essentially refers to the sovereign power in a monarchy, and especially in relation to punishment of crimes. Felony is an offense of the crime. Excuse me. Felony is an offense of the crown. Crown is also an ornamental badge of regal power worn upon the head by sovereign princes. Also, the word crown is frequently used when speaking of a sovereign himself or herself, or of the rights and duties or the prerogatives belonging to the sovereign. The present-day Queen of England is not the crown, operating in absolute sovereign perspective, as we have all been falsely and traditionally led to believe. The issue is not that the same has not been the case. The issue is not that the same has not been the case. Rather, we must know about the other operative crown, in that is comprised of the bankers and attorneys, or what was that?
And that it is
comprised.
It is comprised.
Oh, okay, thank you. Rather, we must know about the other operative crown, in that it is comprised. Okay, it is comprised of the bankers and attorneys who are actual crown or crown temple, which has not been taken into consideration by most people. This nativity has much to do with the controlled education platform. See the philosophy of the General Education Board of 1902, as set up at North America and founded by John D. Rockefeller and Frederick T. Gates. Also consider the secret pledges of the politicians and the clergy in relationship to the Treaty of Verona. The secret Treaty of Verona, excuse me. When reviewing history and law, particularly at North America, under the present feudal de facto and corporate U.S. democracy rule and jurisdiction.
Now, all of that must be clear to everybody. Those last 3 lines right there, if you're not clear on that, you cannot comprehend the politics.
Sister has a secret treaty.
Go ahead, sister.
She had a secret treaty of Verona. She need the mic.
No, I was just asking, what's the secret treaty?
It's right there. She has it right there.
That's on the flash drive, and the secret treaty of Verona is the agreement made between the princes, etc., and essentially the Europeans to overthrow all republican forms of government. Are we clear? Are we clear?
Clear.
And also consider, it is also includes the pledge of the clergy to the popes of Rome. Are we clear? Which again, when we go through this, I'm going to go through the secret treaty of Verona, let you see it so everybody will see it on the board. Are we clear? And it's in your congressional records. And keep this in mind, they know that monkeys can't read, so persons call themselves black are called Negroes. They think Negro means African, it means monkey. And they know that monkeys are scared of books. So they'll put it right in the congressional records because they know that these monkeys won't read. And the monkeys think that Negro is an identity. And so if you have human beings that don't even know their own bloodline, you don't have to fear whether you show them information or not, because they don't take it serious, because they don't deal with facts. They're the only beings with drawers on that deal with beliefs, while the rest of the world deals with facts and science. So the rest of the world accelerates by default. They don't even have to try hard. And it's unfortunate, but it's true. It's a hard truth, but it's true. And if we're not willing to accept what's before our faces, we'll not solve any problems. And if we let our egos and our vanity get in front of reality and not admit that we've been trying to solve problems with beliefs instead of facts, like the rest of the civilized world, and then keep pretending that everything is all right, we can continue to do that and keep sacrificing generations after ourselves. Or we can decide to stop our BS and start giving the coming generations a chance, since we done messed up everything with our BS. Continue.
And so we are looking at layered or covered up truths and noting timely events and activities which are generally unknown by, not discussed around, or shared with the general populace. One of the less known facts is that monarch aristocrats of England, who are usually assumed to be the crown exclusively, have not been ruling sovereigns since the reign of King John, circa 1215. All royal sovereignty relative of the old British crown since that time, 1215, has passed to the Crown Temple in Chancery. King John of England was born December 24th, 1166, and died October 19, 1216. Also known as John Lachlan, he held the kingship of England from April 6, 1199, until his death, October 19, 1216. Now let us make note of England's colonial operations imposed upon the people of the Western Hemisphere. The United States of America, United States, USA.
For those who don't know, pay attention to these different spellings. They're different entities, although they're sounding similar. Are we clear? Not to know that is dangerous. Are we clear? You need to know that these are different entities. All right, continue.
USA is a private, for-profit, and foreign corporation, and is definitively not the alleged free and sovereign nation that the de facto federal government, corporate administrators, and personnel have been telling us that it is. Misrepresentations are made to cover up corruption and misprision. Misprision.
All right, what's misprision? They're breaches of treason against the sovereign people.
Breaches of treason.
In other words, they are breaching your divine right of sovereignty. Are we clear? Go ahead.
Also, it's an act where you see somebody committing treason. You know they're involved in treason, and you are silent. You are complicit. You don't stand up as you are obligated to by the Constitution and stand up against the treason. You just go along with it. Misprision.
Yes, that's misprision. Get used to that, because these, in other words, like this. Again, I'm emphasizing this to everyone. Your language, your consciousness must become aligned with the real politics of how they talk in the back room.
That's right.
About you. Because this is the real politics. Are we clear? If you're talking street politics, because the first thing they're going to figure is you got some degrees in one of the secret societies, because basically Negroites ain't supposed to have this information. Are we clear? Clear. Are we clear? Clear. So when you talk what's really going on, they know that somebody either woke you up or you're past 33 degrees in masonry. Because there ain't no other way that you're going to get this information. Are we clear? Clear. Because they're going to make sure you don't get this information. Are we clear? Clear. So back to point, and this is in the nature, Sister Cheryl, of your questions. When your language changes, they already know, because they ain't going to push the issue, because they're going to figure you're an Eastern Star or DAR. You understand? A brother, they're going to think he's a Mason or a Shriner, so they're not going to push the issue because they're obligated. Are we clear? Clear. But you don't have to belong to them clubs, because this is your history. However, when you start talking the real truth, they ain't going to push the issue because they already know that they got to stand down. Now, based on how you talk, tone, body language, choice of words, usually is how they will respond. If they see that you're not confident because you're not sure, then they're going to come at you again. Because remember, basically the European's position is this, in a sense. He's almost like the knight who's standing in the doorway holding the Holy Grail. He ain't going to give it up just because you come up there and claim it. Meaning that he's going to use his sword first, unless you got a sword to counter his sword. And the sword is not only the physical, it's the abstract. Are we clear? So how you approach is how he will respond. And he'll give you another test, and it's according to how he tries you, how you come at him. But you've already been given past 33 degrees with this information already, without ritual, without a bond. So really get this in your head and get clear in your head so that you can sort of like dance on your feet, you know, like jump rope and chew. gum, you know. So like, in other words, get used to it. Be natural with it. Because that's when he respects you. When he sees doubt, he sees a bleeding rabbit. Are we clear? And he's the wolf.
Daughters of American Revolution.
Say it again.
Daughters of American Revolution.
Female makes
That's the DAR, yeah. That's that building down here. And of course, you know, Hillary is the DAR. Dolly Madison is the DAR. And then you go down and see her clothes. She never came out without a turban. She was a little woman. And the Daughters of the American Revolution is made up specifically of European women who can prove that they're descendants from the Moorish harems. The Daughters of the American Revolution they have history. Our people are the only ones that don't deal with history. Our people deal with beliefs. Civilized people keep their bloodline. That's why they have heritages. You see other civilized people, they can at least tell you their family lines a couple hundred years. You know, our people, they sit around and talk about some European in North Carolina was named Williams that owned their grandma. No, really, so we lost tie. Our problem is that we don't try to make the tie back. That's where our problem is. If you get the whole point. So, European women who can show proof that their, say, great-great-great-great-grandmother is the, you know, can be proven to be a descendant of one of the women that was in the Moorish harem. Are we clear? This is why you see right here, right in Washington, D.C., you see sisters work, they can cook, they can sweep floors, but they can't be members. Because they're taking your place. This is also when they had this thing in Benghazi, while you're seeing Hillary Clinton speak from the Ben Franklin room, and she pulled her hair back, wore blue, and then she got the Moorish flags behind her. She's a daughter of the American Revolution. But she's telling you, but that's for people who know. But remember, everybody don't want to be free. If you get the point. But they can't say that she didn't send the signal, can they? Huh? The deal that I'm saying is, the issue is on us. The issue is on us to start taking responsibility and stop making excuses. Meaning like this. If we can always talk about Jesus, God, Allah, Moses, Muhammad, the Bible, when God's going to, you know, tell you, sell your bike, the rapture is taking place, you know, God's going to kick the devil's ass on Thursday. You know all this stuff, you should know your bloodline. That's where the color of law and the common law comes in, where you see, when you look at common law, the fundamental nature, when you read through the jargon and the semantics of the definition in common law, what you recognize is predicated on your capacity to associate with the ancient traditions and customs of your ancient forefathers from time immemorial. Because that's what trumps the Roman law. That's what trumps the ens legis, the canon law. And so this is where the power of nationality comes in when you're arguing a legal case, because you can take the common law and trump. That's how you convert the courts, if you know those fundamentals. Why? Because that judge is a Mason, or he's a Knights Templar, or he's usually a Knight of Columbus. Usually, they have a collection on for the Kyklos or the Ku Klux Klan. So they already know what their obligation is. They respond on what you know. Meaning, if you don't know, you ain't getting no peanut butter sandwich. You know, and it's just like what it is. And then you keep on talking, then you're in contempt. Keep on talking, they're going to throw you in hell. That's the executor's chamber beneath the church. That's why they call it hot. You know, so our people's concepts about everything is incorrect. And so we're trying to get our people to get rid of their naivety, to look at things for what they really are, Stop thinking that you got to convince this European of anything. We're the ones that don't know. You know, and clear it up with us. All right? Go ahead, sis. And don't fail to interject if you feel like it.
Okay.
You know, if you see something that needs explanation, interject.
There's a question over there.
Go ahead.
You mentioned misprision.
Yes, misprision.
I didn't have misprision in here because this is a small dictionary, but misprision of felony. It says, at common law, the misdemeanor of observing a felony and failing to prevent it, or of knowing about a felony and failing to disclose that fact of its occurrence, or concealing the felony without any previous agreement with or subsequent assistance to the felon.
So that would be conspiracy, and that's what Brother Torrey was talking about. Now, isn't that the same thing with all these so-called black leaders who are 33-degree Masons? Huh? Doesn't that include Martin Luther King, Jesse Jackson, all of them 33-degree Masons got a Moorish fez? Got a certificate at 32 degrees saying Assalamu alaikum and got a holy name in secret, and going out here got these people marching all around wasting their time when they know daggone well that these people are suffering unum sanctum. And they've been pumping that civil rights stuff after that German Dutchman, Dwight D. Eisenhower shut down Article 3 Consular Court in 1956. They've been marching these people around ever since, making them think they're citizens, and they're really stock on the stock market. But nobody want to say it because it's true, because they honor these guys because they say in reverence. They're conversos.
And I wanted to add to it, so the misprision of them hiding these things, like you mentioned
It's
before.
exactly that.
In Article 3, someone just brought my attention to Article 3, Section 3. And this is, I might as well read the whole thing, but I'm going to get to the point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Article 3, Section 3. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of 2 witnesses to the same overt act.
Now, isn't traffic court treason? And don't they know that that's a fraud? Aren't they robbing the people? Didn't they sign aside from the
Okay, family. Ali, come out with me so they can, because I have to go.
Okay.
So, sorry I had to cut you guys short. This is Brother Ali.
Hey, peace to everyone.
He hosts these conferences each and every other Tuesday night. So tell them where they can go so they can, you know.
You can go to my Facebook page is Moor. There's MOOR, or you can actually give the sister your number, because what we do is we text the classes out to people. If you're in the area, you can come down here to the classes, but if not, you can watch it on Facebook Live.
Okay.
Under Moor, and I'll just accept your friendship, and then that's it.
Right. It's still being live streamed. Somebody's live streaming.
Yeah, I'm live streaming.
Okay, yeah.
Live streaming.
So if you want to catch the last part of this tonight, just go ahead, Lord, because I'm signing out. I got to go, family. So I'm signing out, but they're still live streaming on Moor. So if you want to get the last part, just click off of me and go on there.
Okay.
All right. So thanks for tuning in. And again, they do this each and every other Tuesday. So this is this Tuesday. So Tuesday after next, the 11th.
And it'll be
coming?
on Abdul Talib Mosi Bey is going to be on etymology.
Okay.
That's what it's going to be on next the following Tuesday.
Okay. All right, cool. So and I'm Al Kumar, by the way, and my motto is, if I got the information, you got the information. So, you know, I'm a servant. I'm a servant of the people. That's my purpose. And my drive is to get the information out there to as many people as humanly possible. And if you guys follow me on my page, you see I don't discriminate at all. I'm sharing information from the Moors, from the Nation of Islam, from the Christian family. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. Yes, I mean, if they're spreading truth, knowledge, and understanding, then I'm going to get that information out to you guys as well. So that's the whole point of it. Is that we got to come together and make this thing a collective effort to get the information out to those who don't have it, because that's what's going to get us out of this mess we find ourselves in. We can't do it alone. We can't do it. You, just because I have the information and you guys watching the stream have the information, that's not going to set us free. We got to come together as a collective, because if one of us is not free, none of us is not free. Okay, family, that's my spiel for the evening. Tune into the Empower Hour every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. where me and my sister Hanifa go live stream, and we tackle impactful topics that affect our everyday lives. You can find us under Empower Hour Talk Show right here on Facebook. Okay, and we go live tomorrow, and the topic is going to be male bashing. What is this about? What is all this, all this raggedy energy we got between us that we always need to have to be fighting against each other and finger pointing, and men do this and all men do that and women do this and women do that, all this back and forth, and it ain't doing nothing but making the divide even wider. So we're going to dig into that tomorrow on the Empower Hour. Tune in, 2 p.m. Take care, family. Peace.